Who here hasn't been to space?
Why?
You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
So in early discussions that we had for Wakanda Forever, you would always hear me say, I am not preying on this film's downfall. I wasn't preying on the film's downfall. I didn't care if it did good. Didn't care if it did bad. T'Challa's not in it. I don't care about your film. That's why every time people ask me about, do you think this person, do you think they could do this? Do you think, I don't care. I simply don't give not one, not two, red nor blue fucks about the Black Panther franchise within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't care. But we have here that, let me put it this way. The one thing that I will tell you that Wakanda for Never, that's about right though. Wakanda for Never was ever going to do was hit 1 billion. It was never hitting $1 billion.
I don't know. I could have told you that.
As many people have been out there saying, it's still going to do this, it's going to do that. It was never hitting $1 billion, ever. I don't know in what world or fantasy that anyone thought that it was ever going to hit $1 billion. And then I also said, I've been saying this from the beginning too. It didn't have the same vibes. It didn't feel the same way going into this film as it did for BP1. As I've said at the end week, I said that by the end of week 2 going into week 3, we'd start seeing the conversation shift. We'd start seeing people start saying, I don't know. Maybe they should have recasted T'Challa. But it wasn't even week 2 or week 3. We saw it in week 1. In week 1, what was trending? I've said this so many times. It wasn't Wakanda Forever. It wasn't Namor. It wasn't Shuri. It wasn't Letitia Wright and Baku. Any of that. It was recast T'Challa because people were coming. Yeah, because people were coming out of the theater after watching whatever you threw up on screen, and were like, I don't know that really worked. Now, granted, there were people, because I've seen a lot of them. There were brainwashed individuals that went in there and saw the film and were like, oh, this was beautiful. This was beautiful the way that they buried the character with Chadwick.
Some of the people send in the Discord, I'm always like, what the fuck? Because my Twitter, I don't personally use that to follow the recast crowd. I use that with like our channel's Twitter and everything. Like I might mainly follow sports on my Twitter, but when people send shit like, people are saying like this movie was perfectly tragic and it was perfect for that. I'm like, when people just send shit like that in the Discord or people tweet, I'm like, bro, that is some crazy shit to tweet like on a public platform for me to just come.
It's a weird thing to say out loud. It's a weird thing to be comfortable with. It's a weird thing for you to accept. It's a weird thing for you to call it cute. I've seen people calling it cute. I've seen people calling it honorable. All the bullshit that people are calling it. But here we are we just left week 4, about to be going into week 5. And globally, let me make sure I have this correctly. Globally, it's nearing 700 million, with ticket sales currently at 689 million. However, that's not, because I've seen people saying, oh my god, it's doing great. And that's for those of you wondering what distracted me, if it's even still there. Did I go to The Rock? For one, if anybody was wondering why I got distracted when I was looking at My Time to Shine Hello, because I saw this, and I hope it goes right back to her. Fandom Wire tweeted this out. And see, this falls in line with the brainwashedness.
Yeah, bro.
When you tweet shit like this, can y'all see this? Do I have the article up?
See, this is ignorant.
When you tweet shit like this, when you're showing pictures and images like this feeds into the shit that I've been saying for almost a year now. They are profiting off of Chadwick's death. The fact that you use Chadwick's face and put money below it and the man's not in the goddamn film, but for you to just morbidly show his death?
That's gonna be a t-shirt at JCPenney.
Weird. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it.
You know how they do the Bugs Bunny with the
I know. Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. It's extremely weird. It's extremely morbid to me for you to take Chadwick's face, put money below it, and then call it Wakanda Forever is on track to set records. Wakanda Forever is not on track to do shit because it's tracking behind Doctor Strange and Thor: Love and Thunder. This film is doing worse in numbers than Doctor Strange and Thor: Love and Thunder. And some people might be out there saying, oh, well, Darius, Doctor Strange had so much more to offer. Fuck you. Doctor Strange didn't make $1.3 billion like the first film. This first film made $1.3 billion. And the reason it didn't make $1.3 billion this time around, for all the people out there that have been like, oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, y'all are just hating. No, it was never hate. I was coming from a place of facts. I was coming from a place of this character that you're taking off the screen is the only reason your first film was Best Picture nominee, bro. No other Marvel film, no, you can Google it, you can fact check me, I don't care. No other Marvel film has ever gotten a Best Picture nominee outside of Black Panther. No other Marvel film has ever made How much did Endgame make?
Infinity War might have made more than Endgame.
You're right. Before those, your first solo superhero film. Now, let me throw that in there. Infinity War and Endgame did the numbers it did because of the cameos it had, because of everything that was going to be going on with it. Because we understood that with Endgame and Infinity War, we were literally, no pun intended, at the end game. With T'Challa's story in Black Panther, that's a solo film with a character that at the time was not a household name. With a character at the time, before your little MCU became a thought, y'all didn't know who Black Panther was. They didn't know who T'Challa was, but T'Challa became a household name due to Black Panther. So when you take that character off, you get your $700 or $689 million. And if that's good for you, fantastic. But again, it's behind two films that wouldn't have even been able to compete with it if you would have recasted the character. You know, so I found that to be really fucking disgusting and funny to me. And again, that just feeds into, I'm sure there are anti-recasters that look at that and say, I don't see anything wrong with that. Well, of course you don't. You don't see anything wrong with it because you also don't see anything wrong with Marvel profiting off of Chad's death. You also don't see anything wrong with the removal of a character, again, that was well established before your little MCU was a thought. Before the MCU was even a thought on a piece of paper, a thought in someone's mind, T'Challa had been there. The character had, this franchise had been there. That shit, Fandom Wire might get a tweet from me tonight. That shit, because I didn't see this until, like I said, we were talking about the shit we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's morbid. Again, it's weird, bro. And if you are watching this, if you have watched any of our videos, if you've watched any other recasters videos, you've seen anything that anybody's been saying, and or if you sat through that film and comfortably sat through the first 2 minutes, and you've seen shit like this, and you're like, I don't see anything wrong with that, the discussion is no longer Wakanda Forever. The discussion is no longer recast T'Challa. The discussion is what the fuck is wrong with you? The discussion is why are you so okay and comfortable and sick with calling Black Death cute? Let me put it this way too. I was watching, I really didn't want to name drop. But I'm going to, because I feel like, and I'm not calling him out. I'm simply addressing your place of privilege. John Campia, again, you guys know I like John, but I don't always agree with John. John got a question today on his show that asked him, they were talking about emancipation, and they were talking about how somebody commented and said, well, we as black people, we would like more films that don't have to deal with, the traumas of the black community. Because I'm not going to see Emancipation. I just don't want to. I mean, bro, when 2020 was going on and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, I was watching. I rewatched a lot. A lot
of his story.
Yeah, I rewatched a lot. Like I've seen my parents set me and my siblings down when we were in middle school and made us watch Roots.
I still am watching. I'm 20 years old. I still am learning more and more every day. So I still am researching everything about it. So I like, because you brought it up, that's something I'm wanting to see just because.
Emancipation?
Yeah. Just because
I can't do it.
I don't know. Like, I'm at that point in my life where I'm learning who I am. I'm still learning everything. So, I mean, I don't mind seeing all the traumas and stuff. But I get what you're saying, because it sucks that, like, it's like, imagine people in China when they see these American films of how they portray black people and stuff like that. It's like, it gives off such a bad image of how black people are because we're only portrayed in one way. Like,
yeah, it's the only image.
Like, because I've thought about this. T'Challa was the only like black king that's been portrayed on a movie screen to that like big of a level ever, almost. I can think of it. The only. Okay, so I confirmed it, and so it's just
we don't have that.
I was gonna say, just one, it sucks that we didn't get that recast and everything, but two, it also sucks that, like you said, we don't get to speak from this place of privilege where it's like we have all these, or like people have all these stories they want to tell about us. It's like, no, they have one story they want to tell about us, whether it's to make money off it, to show support for, whatever the reason is. It's just, it sucks that it's one thing, and one thing they always go back to when they tell stories and stuff. Yep. They being movie writers, producers, Hollywood, like that, not a race.
And then, well, to tell you guys what John said.
Yeah, I did cut you off. My fault.
So he got the question about emancipation, and they had told him that they're tired of seeing black trauma on screen, and why can't we just see other positive, films with black characters and things like that. And John's response, again, I've said this so many times when we talk recast, when we talk black traumas in films or whatever the case may be, race swapping of I've said this all the time. When most white folks speak on these topics, you are speaking from a place of privilege, because John's answer was everything involving privilege. He's able to sit on a privileged seat where these certain things don't bother him, because why should they? Like, why would they? His answer to that was, if it's a good story that they're telling and it serves the overall, I don't see anything wrong with stories like that. Well, of course you wouldn't see anything wrong with stories like that. But let me tell you, again, as I've said before, 12 Years a Slave. Roots, honestly. Roots too. But 12 Years a Slave it's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to watch. I've seen it several times, but it's a hard one to watch. And the scene specific, I mean, there's so many. But the scene specifically, when Patsy is getting beat because she wanted a bar of soap. And the difference here, John, or anybody else out there that may think like John, when you are telling those type of stories, that's shit that happened. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is fantasy. That shit, so when I sit down in that film, I'm expecting to see things on the screen that are real, that happened, that are based off of a true story. Patsy was a real individual. So no, it's not if the story's good, it's okay, or if the story's... No, it's traumas.
I think, my fault to cut you off, but Stamina said, like you said, it's not a story to everyone. It's not entertainment.
Exactly.
Like, it's a blind spot.
Exactly. But they view it as viewers' entertainment. They view it as, I'm entertained because I'm at the movies and I'm learning this. But for those of us, again, that sit in this community, again, I didn't grow up in no lackadaisy black household. I just didn't. My parents educated us. We knew who we were. We knew what we were because my mama made sure of that shit. Like, my mama used to tell me all the time, bro, you got 3 strikes already against you. You're black, you're a male, and you're black. Like, we heard that shit all the time, me and my siblings. So, like, and then growing up where I grew up in Norman. So no, bro, like, it's not just stories. These aren't just things being played out for a good story for you to be entertained. Because I said this before too. The Emmett Till story. John, since he's so entertained, or since it's such a good story, go sit through the Emmett Till story and you tell me, man, that was such a good story. The Emmett Till story is not a good fucking story. That's a tragic story. That's a very sad story. A little boy yanked up out of his bed, not even his bed, went to stay with his relatives in Mississippi, yanked up out of his bed by 3 white men in the middle of the night because they thought he whistled at his wife. So they took him, and there's nothing they could do about it. There was nothing his uncle could do. There was nothing his cousins could do. There was nothing his aunt could do. There was nothing any of the surrounding neighbors could do. They were powerless. They took that boy. They tortured that boy. They did everything they did to that boy and then left him to rot in the Mississippi River. If you come out of that film and you're saying, good golly, that was a good story.
Or I'm so like touched by that, like.
Then again, there's a wider conversation at play. So when I'm sorry that just took me there, because it's people saying this whole, it's honoring this, it's doing that. No, you're literally brainwashed. It is Marvel profiting off of this man's death, and not even really. I'm not gonna send obviously $700 million, $700 million. But when you're tracking behind two films that wouldn't, and it's even, I don't care how good you did them, wouldn't have even competed with the first Black Panther film. So for anybody asking, well, why is it sitting at $689 million in dollars instead of $1.3 billion? Because Marvel decided for this sequel that they were going to shove a morbidly disturbing funeral that most of you went to see, and we saw it too. And I saw that in the comment too. Somebody said, but didn't you go see the film? I did. I've not seen it since. I've seen Black Adam 4 times. I won't see it again. And for the reasons I've said. I had to see that film so I could give my own answers on what the film was. But for Marvel, or for the film to be sitting where it is,
watching that film did a lot for me. I don't fuck with Ryan Coogler. I don't fuck with Nate Moore.
And for all the people that were screaming, like everything that they were screaming about the film, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Even those people haven't seen it twice. Because again, here's the thing: if the film is sitting at 608, that means that there's no rewatchability. The difference in the first BP, I personally saw it at least a good like, 15, 16 times
I would see that shit like 7 times in theater.
And I paid every
basketball
time.
Team, mom, dad, friends, then went with people at school, then just was going again just for fun.
Yeah.
like
I said, we know the reasons, bro. We like, you watching, you anti-recaster, you person that might come in the comments and be like, oh, you know the reason. Everyone knows the reason. T'Challa is the reason. When that character was taken off the screen selfishly, when that character was laid to rest honorably, cutely, like some of you think, with Chadwick, there went your 1.3 bill. There went whatever possibilities this film could have done. So nah, bruh, you're gonna have to come a little bit harder than that for me. But I wanted to say all this. I wanted to say all this, and I wanted to even bring this topic up. I even wanted to say about the box office numbers, because we are currently sitting in what we have been saying for almost a year. We've said this. We said it's beautiful. Bro, go watch our initial reaction to the trailer. My first thing was, it's beautiful. The trailer's beautiful. The soundtrack is beautiful. It's all beautiful.
But no
T'Challa. And it's not, I also said, and it's not gonna do what your first film did because of no T'Challa. So now I can sit here and literally...
Shit, I was wrong in mine. I said it's beautiful and everything, and I was like, I believe in Ryan Coogler. I came out wrong than a motherfucker. But like you said, we all agreed on the fact that it, like in the trailer, it looked beautiful and everything. But I think we also knew, like, no T'Challa, it's kind of gonna be lacking something. We're all gonna be sitting here having the same question the whole movie.
Yeah.
How are you gonna do it was gonna be the first question, and then the second question was gonna be, why did you just do that? We knew we were gonna have the why to their how instantly, because it doesn't make sense what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I think us just already knowing that walking in the theater, it kind of just, we knew we weren't gonna go rewatch this movie. We knew it wasn't gonna make $1 billion. Like you said, everything we're saying now has come to.
It's happening.
It's
happening. That's so fucking Raven. It is happening.
Fruits of our labor are now.
Call me Miss Cleo, because it is happening. Like we said this shit was gonna happen, and then you can sit out there too. I've seen people saying this. Well, the only reason that it's not doing good is because this was directly said to me. It's not doing good is because we have crybaby ass fanboys like you, who are pushing this narrative that the film's not good. Bro, if you think that my 1,400 subscribers is the reason Black Panther Wakanda Forever is not doing good.
Hey, if you think Planet Fanatics had that influence, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I can tell you right now, it ain't my channel, it ain't E's channel, it ain't Brandon's channel, it ain't Back of the Bus, it ain't Theo, it ain't D-Real, it ain't Chill, it ain't none of us.
It's a world realization.
It's none of, that's what it is. It's motherfuckers waking up and realizing
It's a world realization.
something is off. That's what it is. The Recast crowd, with all of its signatures, didn't cause this film to flop. This film flopped because motherfuckers are waking up. This film flopped because it was always going to flop because the people that you had going to see the original BP, after learning that you took the franchise main character out, said, I'm not going to see this. You know how many people I know personally that have not gone to see this, that aren't going to see this?
I have friends that they asked me, should I go see it? I said no, and then they'd snap me like 10 hours later. Q, my dad just told me not to watch that shit too. He said it's sad. I'm like, if your dad's saying that let me know that I was like, your dad's not even just a super duper Marvel geek. Like, he just know. Like, this don't make no fucking sense. But what I was gonna say, because we're talking about money and everything, but I mean, think about how much better they were able to market and advertise that first Black Panther versus how shit the marketing was for this second one. How ass and like that marketing for this last Black Panther movie was bad.
It was.
It's one of the worst in Marvel history because they didn't have anything to market.
Nothing but Ye Bombay with Suri.
It's not appealable though. It's not marketable. It's not marketable. Ye Bombay.
And
like it's not marketable.
And I'm still in this film that you rewrote. You should have wrote in there a convincing way for the audience to believe that Shuri is your new Black Panther. Not any time in that film was I convinced. Not any time in that film was I like, oh, you know what? They might be onto something. Like, at no point.
If I was in Wakanda, I would have challenged her for that.
Oh, I would have challenged her. Toussaint can challenge her right now.
I would have challenged her for that throne in me. How the fuck she get this? I made it. Challenge me. I want it.
Bro,
give me that shit.
Not hers anymore.
we sending you off to be the protector of Wakanda? No.
Yeah, bro. And that's why I said it's underperforming. That's why no one's gonna go see it on the 5th or the 6th weekend, the 7th weekend. I mean, Avatar's about to come out, so it's really about to get left in the dust now. Avatar's coming. When does Avatar come out? Like what,
17th.
next week, right? Next weekend. That's next weekend then. Yeah. So this 4th weekend was its last weekend.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, that was it. So your 689, 700 million, that's your number.
Might get one little stretch this week, maybe.
I don't think so, because this weekend is Avatar.
16th, looks like.
That's this weekend, isn't it? Isn't the 16th this coming weekend?
7th. This is 7th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Next
weekend.
I'm about to say, you got Christmas. Hell, I know you're not a Christmas guy, but that's soon. I need to get
my fault. Next weekend.
So you
the
might
weekend
get
after
one
this.
little last bump
Maybe.
to like try to get to. You're not gonna get 7. You're not gonna get 700.
No, I just don't think so.
You're not gonna
You're
get
sitting at
700.
689. I just don't think so.
And you were asking about Endgame. They did 2.7.
2.7. Okay, yes, and that's why I said I corrected myself there. Those two films did do better. They weren't solo films. You had everybody in them. It was the juice of what we've been waiting for 10 years. So,
I mean,
of course.
fuck that. What was one of the main points in Infinity War was the Battle of Wakanda. With T'Challa was honestly one of the main characters.
He was.
Infinity War.
He was. They went to that was the whole thing when Steve said I might
they had
know
to
someone.
go get Bucky's arm.
They needed
Bucky
when they were trying to figure out what are we going to do with Vision. Steve said,
Yep.
I know someone. They went, and that's when you hear the drums and shit. And then where are we going? Wakanda. And who the fuck is there? We
White
don't
Wolf.
do that here. T'Challa, bro. Like what?
That just brings up even more like just flaws with fucking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, or whatever you call it. How they held back against Thanos' forces.
When he says, "Get this man a shield."
Oh my god.
Fuck, that shit
This
was
man
so
is
good.
shit.
I might rewatch Infinity War tonight.
I mean, I'm telling you, bro. Infinity War with T'Challa, anything with T'Challa. I'm not. Again,
because Civil War's a top 5.
Yeah,
movie,
Civil War's a
in my
top 5
opinion.
movie, of course.
And I would say like he's definitely he was one of the most. I mean,
Bro, he's so-
for everybody, he was one of the most popular characters.
It's just he's so versatile to use in any storyline.
Okay, so during that battle in Endgame, there were 3 things that I heard people cheer for, at least in just during the whole thing. So
The portal scenes?
Cap getting Mjolnir, right? Fucking Spider-Man coming out, and then T'Challa coming out.
I cheered
No,
shit. I
nobody
was like,
say, "Hey, nobody."
like,
Whenever,
my
when
next
didn't
Bro, you should
nobody
see my face when I
nobody
seen
cared.
Strange give Thanos that time stone, bro.
Nobody cared whenever Falcon said it. On your left.
No one
There's
cared.
nobody in the game swinging in. Nobody.
I don't know.
I did.
I gave a
You
fuck.
did?
I did give a fuck because I was
Yeah,
that
because
was
you just knew-
because he
because
was
at
the
that
first
point you
one, and I
knew.
knew. I was
At
gonna
that
say I
point-
knew everyone was coming. I
You knew
wouldn't
they
say
were
it was
coming.
Falcon, but at that point I was like, okay,
But it was still quiet though. And then everybody, and then you start seeing the portals open. Yeah.
yeah, bro. Yeah. It's
When I see my nigga
sad.
Steven, I knew it was game. Shit.
And that's why I said too, the crowd that you were trying to reach for I don't know what crowd you were trying to reach for this, but the comic book fans, yes, the comic book fans, those of us that know the character of T'Challa, because as I'm going to continue to say, those of you that comment on our videos and say the ignorant, foolish things that you say, and yes, I'm going to say it because somebody called me out. You said you don't know the character. You met the character in 2018. Do not try to sit here and play me and tell me that you know this character, because if you knew the character, the stance you have wouldn't be the stance you have. The arguments you're making wouldn't be the arguments you're making. How silly you make yourself look when you come into spaces talking about shit you don't understand. You sound ignorant. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you're just a comic book fan. Yes, the comic book fans were going to go see T'Challa. They're not going to go see something they've been reading about without the franchise's main character. I'm not an anime fan, but I know a lot of you out there are. And maybe some of you that are watching this video on a replay that are anti-recast. You might be an anime fan too. Tell me this. Your favorite anime that you've been, from my understanding, this One Piece stuff has been going on for a long time.
Over 1,000 episodes in that.
And I only know this shit because Trey. If they took Luffy or whatever his name is out of it, if they took Luffy out of One Piece and replaced him with whoever a side character, tell me you wouldn't be pissed. Tell me as an anime fan that you wouldn't be like, you're fucking my character. Oh, now I can already hear it. Well, you sound stupid because that's different. Nobody, the guy that made, okay, let's say this, Oda, the man that made Luffy. Oda passes. So they decide they are going to retire the character, or retire this, or never bring the character back. You can't accurately tell me, oh, I'm okay with that because I got so, and maybe you can because you've gotten so many stories with your character. But let's put it, let's amp it a little bit. Luffy shows up in Netflix's live action One Piece series, or Luffy doesn't show up in Netflix's live action One Piece series. Are you mad? You can't tell me you not. You cannot tell me as an anime fan, I don't know shit for shit about none of this.
That's why it's so funny.
But you can't tell me as an anime fan that you would sit down and say, well, I've been reading One Piece since diapers, from what it sounds like with Trey, and Luffy's not in it, but I'm okay. You wouldn't be. So it's you sound stupid too. That's why I've always said this too. It's
Japan.
You wouldn't have one.
Japan would call a state of emergency.
I'm telling you, bro. They would, and it's one of those things. Again, like I said, it's easy. It's easy to sit from a place and say the shit you say when it's not your character. It's easy to sit from that place of whatever it might be for you when it's not your character being fucked with. But let's take it back a little bit. Let's take it back to the rumors of Giancarlo Esposito, which I still believe are real, with him being Professor X. Do you know how many people on Twitter were like, Professor X isn't black? Professor X, he's not that wise, but why are you doing this? Blah. They were screaming. They were mad. They hashtag this, hashtag that. It's no fun when it's your character being fucked with. See, I could come into that argument and be like, oh, you sound like a fanboy. You're yelling because they're changing things. Yeah, shut up. You sound stupid.
You nerd.
That's what y'all sound like when you come in and you're telling us, "Oh, you sound stupid." But yet, when one of your characters is getting fucked with, you're up in arms. You're ready. You're pissed as hell, ready to go.
One of your fucking toy box full of characters, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You got a toy box full of characters, but let one of them be changed, race, sexually, gender, whatever it may be, and
they're pissed.
They're pissed. Riot. But then the second one, like, we get a character, y'all want to piss on it. Piss some shit, whatever y'all can do to make our character mean less to y'all's toy box full. I just don't get it. I never will get it because it's never gonna end happening. Like, it's just the way. Like, I don't see that cycle ever being broken. Genuinely.
Yeah. And you know what? You know, one more thing to say. To take it back to the people saying like, "Oh, Darius, Multiverse of Madness." Or Wakanda Forever didn't have the legs that Multiverse of Madness could have had. Again, well, you could have fucking fooled me. Because all of y'all pre-Wakanda Forever were so damn giddy. We're so, I can't wait to go see this film. And and it's so beautiful. It looks like this. And blah, blah, blah. And then everybody too. I love this one. This is one of my favorites. I don't know if Angela Bassett's new to a lot of the Black Panther audience. Because everybody's like, oh my... She's been here.
She's so powerful. She's
bro.
So motivating. She's so inspiring.
I'm like,
nigga, she been there. What
like
the
what?
hell?
Like it's just like, and not just that. Like the Angela Bassett herself has been in the business. Angela has been doing amazing roles. I mean, you got Tina Turner. You've got her role in Waiting to Exhale. You've got her role in Jackson's The American Dream. You've got her role as Marie Laveau in American Horror Stories, which was one of my favorite roles by her. I can go on and on and on with Angela Bassett. Angela's not new. Again, when I see some of these things, sometimes I just laugh. I'll just be laying in bed and laughing, bro. Like when I see the things that people are saying, again, it just lets me know that you don't know much about just... This is why more black actors and actresses need to be introduced, because Angela Bassett was new to some people in 2018, and that's nothing wrong with that. Chadwick was new to people in 2018, although they won't tell you that. The recast crowd like, "Oh, I always know." No, you haven't. No, you haven't. No, you have not.
Chadwick was Civil War was my first time.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But and the reason I say there's nothing wrong with that, the only thing wrong with that, because there's nothing wrong with you seeing him or anybody seeing him for the first time in Civil War. The problem then comes in when you accuse us of gatekeeping the character, but you're the one gatekeeping. Yeah. Because you came into 2018 knowing the character. As I've said so many times, if you want to love this character, go pick up his comics. It's not in a Marvel film, bro. It's not. You fell in love with him in a Marvel film, but you don't know him. Just like Don Cheadle said the other day, we don't know who Rhodey's friends are. We don't know his relationships. We don't know shit about Rhodey. I implore anyone in the comments, since y'all like leaving us these Harry Potter novels to read, because you think I've read all that shit. I don't. And just so you know,
I don't.
Anytime it's anti-recast, I read your first two words. And then I don't read your paragraph.
Skimming through to see if I chuckle.
And you're lucky if I skim. You're lucky if I skim. I typically don't read that shit. But
you said you're lucky if I skim.
But the thing is, when you've got a character like this, you've got his stories, you've got all this, you learned about him in the MCU. You want to leave me a novel. Leave me a novel telling me about T'Challa in the MCU. Tell me what you learned about T'Challa in the Tell me in-depth shit that you can tell me about Tony Stark in the MCU. You can't give me in-depth shit about T'Challa because
to say Peter Parker.
I should have said Peter Parker because Peter. That's who I should have used.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
that's exactly who I should have used.
Clip that shit, bro. That's gonna be so funny.
That's exactly who I should have used. I should have used Peter Parker, and the reason I should have used Peter Parker is because Peter Parker entered the MCU the exact same fucking time as T'Challa did.
Well, and that's a comment.
And that motherfucker has 3 films.
I'm gonna find this comment later, but they said them having T'Challa more in Civil War than Peter Parker, they knew how important T'Challa was to Marvel, considering how pivotal he was in that Civil War movie.
Yeah,
because he was more important than
Iron Man going and getting Peter Parker and everything, but
And then
I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn.
Then you have I mean, like I said, like you just said, he was way more important than Spider-Man in that film. And not only that, moving forward, as I've said so many times, we've got people talking about, and I'm sure some people have thought to themselves with our channel, maybe they're done with Recast. No. As I've said, I'll talk about it when there's news, but I'm not going to get on here and just say the same shit every day. But I'll talk about it when there's news. But as I've said before, every time, even in these next few projects that are coming up, you're moving towards Secret Wars. We said the other day, I don't know how, I'm scared for Secret Wars. I'm scared because I don't know how you're doing some of this shit. Time runs out. I've said this. Opens with T'Challa. T'Challa is a major player in Secret Wars. And I can already hear the comments again. You got Suri. They recasted T'Challa with TJ. Let me address that really quick. I'm sorry, because I've seen that so many times. TJ's not a recast. That's a new character. He's not a recast. He's simply a new character. He's a new character. Actually, I think he's Marvel's. I saw this from the direct. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's Marvel's 10th new character. That's it. That's Marvel's words, not mine. They called him a new character. They didn't call him a recast. They called him a new character. He's Marvel's 10th new character they've introduced within post-credit scenes. I think that's what the direct said. So it's not a recast. That sounds ignorant when you say that shit.
Anyone knows that's not a fucking recast.
They know that.
Know that's his son. It's
either they know that or they're being willfully ignorant.
I was about to say, but that's the thing. You get on the internet and you'll be surprised by how many willfully ignorant people you run into. So I mean, it's probably a heavy mix of both.
Yeah, it's again, the proof is in the fucking pudding, Bo. It's there. Like that's why I said I don't need to go into
and talks like it.
The details.
It's a fucking duck.
I don't need to go into the receipts of things we've. I mean, it's there. If you look it up, you go see. It's there, bro. It's there. Like the numbers are there or not there, and the weirdos are still out there saying the same thing they're saying. But again, a lot of people are starting to come around. They're starting to see that. Hell, we even had that one guy come in here and say, "I was wrong." He didn't have to do that. But he came in and said, I apologize, I was wrong. Yeah. Again, we've seen other people doing that. We've seen people say, you know what, the recast crowd was right. We read a whole article from Game Rant that said recast T'Challa may have been right. And it ain't a may, recast T'Challa was right.
And it's not even about being right, because I mean, it's just like
that's really it. It's not even about being
see
right.
The character, bro. And I'm pretty sure that's what all of us want.
That's a good point. I'm glad you said that.
Ain't none of us sitting here saying like rubbing it into other people's faces that we're right. The movie did this, that. No, like it's literally like if you agree with us, then thank you. Finally, like thank you for being on our side and joining the thing. And like, but eventually, we just want to see T'Challa back on screen. At least that's my point of view. Like I don't care to be right, wrong, or this, that. I know it's going to take a while, too. Like I've said, I've been the one on this because Marvel has other things they want to get to. It being secret, whatever it's being. But I mean, I just don't think T'Challa's the most high up on their list right now. And it sucks.
Oh, because
that's the character I want to see back on screen.
It's like I just said about Acolyte. I don't give a shit because you don't give a shit. I don't care about your Black Panther stuff in the MCU because you don't care about your Black Panther stuff in the MCU. Like, I'll still read my shit. I'll go back and, watch and read or whatever, like Civil War, Infinity War, BP1. But anything after that, your Wakanda Forever series, BP3, BP4, whatever you choose, I'm not interested. I don't care. Like, it's not even something I'll cover. Like, I don't care. I won't go watch, but like, let's say they do a BP3 in 2026 like they say they're going to. Let's say they do a BP3. Yeah, I'm gonna talk shit about it up until the film comes out. I'm not going to see that motherfucker at all.
I'm not interested in it either.
I have no, what's my appeal to go see it? TJ? TJ, and ain't the kid. Let me say that too, because I've seen some people saying that's just a kid. The kid was great. I think I said that.
We all said that.
Yeah, the kid was fine. He was typically I cringe over kid actors. He was fine. He delivered his lines fine. That's cool. He ain't T'Challa. That's cool.
Can't no nigga live up to T'Challa.
He's not T'Challa. That's TJ, and TJ is being hidden in the forest right now. You know?
Real quick, Gray said if T'Challa's baby was a girl, do you think people would still call that a recast? Or do you think they'd finally realize that it's just a replacement?
I think they know right now it's not a recast, but they don't want to.
They don't want to admit that.
I'm gonna use another one of my. I love Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. They don't want to bend the knee. They don't want to bend the knee to what it is. That's all it is. They're just sitting so strong on their no. Even if they start to see some of the things we've been screaming for almost a year are right, they're like, no. I'm gonna double down on how I feel.
Turn that cheek.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on how I feel, and that is your recast. You got your T'Challa. Somebody told me that you got T'Challa. No, what she said? I think it was a boy or girl. I don't know. It was Twitter names. You never know. You got your T'Challa, and now you're bringing Emmett Till into it. What is going blah 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 blah.
Oh my god.
I'm like, bro, tell me you watched it without telling me you didn't understand shit, that you didn't comprehend what you watched. Bro, literally palm face. If that's what you got from what I'm saying,
that's what we're arguing with.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm deleting Twitter. I'm not using Twitter to argue with niggas.
I laugh, bro. I laugh. I'm telling you, they get the emoji thumbs up from me. That's what they get from me, bro. You're right,
My favorite
bro.
thing's
You are so right.
with the sunglasses, just with the thumbs up.
Yeah,
it's cool,
bro.
Cool with me. Go
I'm
do your
cool
thing.
with it. You wanna feel the weight, and again, I've said this. The last thing I'm saying, I'm not trying. This ain't the more. I'm not. This ain't a church. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to change you. Yeah.
Not a religion.
I'm not trying to change your beliefs. You can believe and feel the way you want to believe and feel. But again, do it with merit and fact. Don't come in spitting because when I'm up here, yeah, a lot of it is passion and feeling, but I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you receipts. Y'all be coming in here talking about some damn off the wall ass shit that doesn't even make sense. You're not coming in with fact and merit. You're coming in just purely based off your love for the 2018 film. That's simply it.
Fact and merit, and also just empathy to realize where people who actually know this character who are talking about. Because even me, I'm not the most educated. Everything I know is mostly because you've told me to go read this or told me to go read that story or look. I've learned everything, but it's just some people really they don't know how to empathize and put themselves in other people's shoes to where it's maybe they know more than I really know. Maybe they actually are smart. Some people can't sit back and say, maybe this person's actually smarter than me in this area or this aspect of life.
That's a problem for a lot of people.
I was going to say, I just think a lot of people need to realize, even me, myself sometimes.
I'd say that for me too.
But it's this is just such a certain situation where it's like I just said, I don't want to claim to be right or anything, but we all know what the right thing to do is.
Right.
It's recasting. And so it sucks that when people come in, try to flip that in some way that it's we're trying to do it for some wrong reason, misogynistic or just any of those reasons we were getting before the movie came out and stuff like that. It's just, I don't get it, because if you were able to empathize and just put yourselves in our shoes, the only thing you'd see is how much we want to see a character on screen.
Well, and the same thing that you guys have been saying on here, because I'm obviously new here, but the same thing you guys have been saying, they're not going with Chadwick's wishes either. The guy that you're putting on his, you're still putting him on posters. You're still putting him in backgrounds.
Wild. Oh my! Keep going. That's just wild to me. Jeez.
How much respect did you really have for the guy?
And then using his picture with money, bro. I'm going back to that. I'm showing that again.
Who was fighting cancer while giving us those films, bro. That. When you really think about what he was doing, it really is inspiring.
It is.
That's to say the least.
Yeah.
So I mean, say that any of us wouldn't want that character back on screen, and I got to shout out to Steven Dunn with the $50 super
Shut your
chat.
mouth, Steven.
Big shout out saying anti-black misandry is so adamantine that honoring Chadwick came in the form of turning arguably the most influential black male character in book history, came in form of turning said character into a poster child for stereotypes.
That is so true. And before I touch on that,
big shout out to you,
huge shout out, because that's probably
it is.
No, Cornelius. Yeah. So we've had. Thank you so much. We appreciate that so much, bro.
That is huge.
Yeah, that is big. Thank you so very much.
I got me ready to come back tomorrow and get to work.
I appreciate it so much. It really does. One more time, anti-black.
Anti-Black misandry is so adamantine that honoring Chadwick came in the form of turning arguably the most influential black male character in book history, came in the form of turning said character into a poster child for stereotypes.
Exactly.
And that's what I was just talking about earlier. I was like, I can't think of another... Well, the first thing I said was when we were first talking about this, where I was like, this may be the first time in history where such a prominent character has not been recasted. And then what I've been saying recently is like, this might be the first time in history where we've had the one black character that we can actually point other people to, like, that's a black king. If you want to learn, like, black, if you want to know some good black power, like in fiction film, T'Challa, right there.
Yep.
It's like now, like exactly like he said it, like it's just a lot of it that we're getting in this movie is just for stereotypical stuff like that and shit.
I'm sorry. I just saw. I agree with you. I just saw what iComic for your, or one comic for. I'm sorry.
iComic for your, iComic for you.
Okay. Said, I'll give you the checkmate when these guys lost their mind over their Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. When their character turned out to be a bitch, they lost their minds. Check me. Yep. And that is so true. Was I not just bitching? I think I was just bitching about Episode 8 because I'm one of those bitchers when it comes to Star Wars Episode 8. You took the franchise's main character. Now, obviously, you didn't kill him.
I only know about this because you do bitch about it.
I do bitch about it. I bitch about it. You took the franchise's main character, although Mark Hamill is still living. You took Luke Skywalker, who we as OG fans, I'm not talking about you sequel trilogy lovers. We as OG fans, I watched Star Wars when I was 9 years old. After I came home from watching Episode 2, my stepdad sat me down and said, "Did you like it?" I said, "Yeah, I loved it." He said, "Well, now I'm going to show you Episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I was like, "What?" And then he showed me Episodes 4, 5, and 6. So when he showed me those episodes, I saw Luke. And I'm like, Who is this? Who's this character? Oh my gosh, he's so cool. He's the franchise's, him and his father are the franchise's main fucking characters. So when you did what you did to him, of course you got fans bitching. So yes, that's a perfect example. That's the example, I would say. Star Wars fans, that film came out in 2018. 2018, I believe. 2017, 2018 is when that film came out. Because Force Awakens came out in 15. I believe that one came out in 18.
Excuse me.
Or 17, because Rise came out in 19. One of those. However, whatever.
2017.
2017. Motherfuckers have been bitching about that since 2017.
6 years almost.
And it has, and I'm not talking like, 2017 it was loud. 2018 it kind of died down. 2019, no, that shit is still loud, bro.
Getting louder.
People, because you've taken a franchise that people love and you shit on it. And it's the same thing with Recast T'Challa. You've taken a franchise, again, that people have loved since the Civil Rights Movement. And you said, source material be damned, fans be damned. My feelings are the only thing that matter, and this is what we're doing with the character.
You looked at you made the second movie looking at the first movie. It said first movie be damned.
Yeah, you said first movie be damned. Second movie
don't connect to the first one at all. So fuck the first movie, fuck the source material, fuck who it was for. Like that's honestly how that second movie came off as, because I mean, if Black Panther, like we've always said, we're not gonna knock down any type of representation ever. But I mean, if Black Panther's supposed to give us black representation, Namor gave more representation in that movie than Black Panther. So I mean, like, that's just it's every time we have this conversation, it's shit I don't get, because a lot of this shit in this conversation or this space just don't make sense, because you look at it and you be like, man, you recast T'Challa. Half our channel ain't even here today. Like, half our videos ain't even up today. Like,
you recast T'Challa, I'm happy.
That's what I'm saying. It's such a simple ass fix.
It is, bro. And I still see this, even though it's so wild to me that I'm still seeing this. This lets me know that the recast crowd they're like those damn goats from Thor: Love and Thunder. They just don't shut the fuck up. They just go and go and go.
So when you thought they
stopped.
Like
you thought they
stopped.
You thought they're done.
And they all come in and they say the same shit.
The most
you know the film is done. You know it's in theaters. You know blah blah. I'm aware that the film is done.
They catch you at the worst times,
Bruh.
too. Just in the worst moments where you really don't want to see some ignorant shit. And you're like, I'm going to read some comments real quick. And then you just like, that one comment that always catches you. You're like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I would just be one. That's why I got a burner. Because I'd be wanting to respond to something.
I do be wanting to respond.
You ignorant. Like, you just be going in on the... I can't do it on the personal stuff. But there's just always that one comment that catches me. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I got to respond to this.
JB Easy. At least Lando survived.
But you know what? Oh, never mind. I'm not even getting into Star Wars. Even though we were supposed to get a Lando series.
King Rico, wait, Lando's still alive?
Not if Coogler gets his hand on a Star Wars story. All the little black characters that are there, he gonna say, "Oh yeah, Death Star."
That's
Boom.
got to be the biggest inside joke on our Discord. Just if Ryan Coogler touch a black character, funeral.
Yeah, funeral. Instantly gone.
Get in the white. Get the white.
But yeah, so that's my thoughts, our thoughts on Wakanda Forever's current box office, and that is its box office. That's the number. The number you got for everybody that was out there screaming, "Oh, it's gonna!" For everybody that was, because I saw so many tweets that were saying, "You guys are gonna look so stupid when it hits a bill." Well, here we are, and I look the same. I feel the same.
Looking smart
I called
as shit.
this. Yeah, I called this. So
I feel good as fuck.
So for everybody out there talking about whatever, no, that's your number. That's the number. That's what you get. It ain't skyrocketed anymore. Avatar about to take a fat Avatar dookie on that shit. That's what's about to happen. I can promise you.
Blue shit.
Fat, big, blue, in the ocean shit.
Way of the water.
Way of the water on Wakanda Forever. Like it's about to happen. So that's the number. That's the morbid shit, the imagery I was showing you guys. That's what people are doing.
About to really take a big shit.
Oh yeah, bro.
Movie. Like I'm really sitting here thinking, like, keep in mind the scores of ADOS men who grew up to go into the comic book industry, right, for BP to make him more relevant, only to have the franchise catering to a demographic who didn't spend 30 plus decades fighting for the character.
Exactly.
And that goes back to my thing about representation yesterday. It's like whenever you do something just to throw it in and please one little crowd, so it's like you please this crowd who's screaming for something, but then you're kind of disrespecting all the people who it's initially representing. It doesn't do anything. Like it's like a slapping. It's like here's this, and then while you're giving your palm back, you're slapping it in your face.
I'm telling you, we got kicked in the dick for literally almost a year. And I completely agree with that though. I've said that so many times sitting here that. And I want to give credit where credit's due. Theo B is the one that first said it, and I echoed it. Where Theo B stated, you got people who are in their 50s, in their 60s, that were kids at the time of the civil rights movement. Because I know a lot of people, as I've said before, because you see Martin Luther King pictures in black and white, that black and white imagery, a lot of people like to think to themselves, well, that was so long ago. My grandmother's in her 70s. It was during her time. She's still alive. Like, fuck, like, bro, stop it. There were little kids, and I've shown the images of the little kids, the black and white photo, the little black boys reading the comic books. There were kids during the civil rights movement who that was made for, bro. We've said this. Jack Kirby has said this. And those kids waited 50 plus years to see this character on screen. That's why the first BP made a 1.3 billion, because it was a cultural movement. You had people that were like, oh my God, I finally get to see this character on screen, young and old. Like, Theo B, well, he said it before. Theo's in his 50s. Theo's like 53, I think. I think that's what he said. And Theo is one of the stronger recast voices out here. And when you have someone like him who has had these comics in his collection, grew up reading these comics, can tell you deep things about Suri. Him and D Real had a whole live where they talked about Suri and the how wrong people are with her just being the Black Panther. Because the regular crowd's like, well, Suri becomes Black Panther in the comics. That shows me you didn't read it.
That's one of the main comments where I will go ahead and comment issue.
comic issue.
Yeah,
Send
like don't get me wrong.
Send me the issue where she's Black Panther and T'Challa's dead.
Right. Like don't get me wrong. There are 12 issues where she's there. Her brother's in a coma, but she's there, and he's there with her. But but it's not like Shuri's not just the Black Panther.
Yeah, there we go.
So and Theo and D-Real have gone into deep conversation about that. But the reason I even brought that up is because you got someone like that who has been reading these comments in his younger age, and now he finally got to see him on screen in 2018, and others too that are older that got to see it, just to have it teased and then plucked away. And I've seen people saying, well, you're gonna get him in the future. Again, your privilege is showing.
Even I myself have said I don't know, and I'm one of the people who want him, and I've been not ignorant enough to admit I don't know when we're getting him back.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's not. I've said this. I don't care, bro. Until Marvel themselves, Kevin Feige, Nate Moore's lion ass, or Coogler, or whoever, gets up on somebody's red carpet, somebody's interview, and says, we are recasting T'Challa. Not
bring T'Challa.
There's
back.
no inkling he's coming back. You've got. That's what they gave
See
TJ.
how long it took Superman for them to get
a
Henry
decade,
Cavill back?
a fucking decade. So they
that's
got
the same Superman
yes,
actor.
the same
That's
Superman
not even
actor.
recasting
Exactly.
a whole new one.
Exactly. So if you get to that 2026 BP3 mark, that's why I said your privilege is showing. Who's to say that who's to say I am? Who's to say any of us are going to live to be here to see 2026's BP3? Some of our older viewers are older in age. I could leave my house wrecked, anything. Like, who's to, you know what I'm saying? Who's to say? That's why
literally.
That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about it happened.
Your privilege is showing,
to the
bro.
actor in this situation.
Yes. Your privilege is fucking showing when you say you're gonna get him back. Just be patient. Some of us don't have the time to be patient. When you made a selfish move that you did not have to make, you could have kept him on screen. You could have had him there.
It's like what was the last part Steven said there when he said franchise catering to a demographic who didn't spend 40 plus years
Decades.
40 plus
for the
decades,
character.
yes,
Fighting for the character.
Again, that's it.
You made your decision based off of people who only were introduced to this character in 2018.
Yeah, people make their decision. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, people making decisions based off just seeing the movie. When you have people who fought for the source material to be put on screen, you have groups of people who fought for the comic books to be put into movies and shit like that. And so it just shows your ignorance whenever you go out and comment shit like that just based off knowing or even the hero now that the movies have came out and you've been introduced to him on screen and stuff. I mean, like, even like I'd never try and compare my knowledge to someone who's spent decades knowing about the comic book just because I know I came in late on this character. Like, it's nothing I can do about that. Like,
y'all have heard me say I'll never enter spaces where I'm not knowledgeable like that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
just
it's like,
life. Yeah,
I just won't.
I'm not
You
ignorant
gotta-
like that.
Yeah, if you do, you got to go in with an open mind.
Well,
I mean, you can have your opinions about any character you want to, right? But if you're not knowledgeable and all your knowledge comes from the MCU about T'Challa, or any character for that matter, be willing to kind of hear from especially people who are as big as fans as you, Darius, and people in the chat, who know their stuff about it and feel very passionate about them. They're fans on the surface level.
Exactly. Fans on the surface level.
But
Exactly. I agree with you there. Fans on the surface level. To be willing, if you're, again, I've said that. I don't have a problem having the conversation. I have no problem having the conversation with you. I have no problem. Like, you guys saw me in jaded fanboys conversation. At first, it was gonna be rough before we had our private conversation that we had. But
it was gonna be a rough night, Chad.
But after we had that conversation and we understood where both of us were coming from, now granted his recast views are not my recast views, but he still wants the character recast. But see, if you can come in and have an educated, civilized conversation, we can do that. But just be, like Levon said, be willing to come in open-minded and stop looking at this shit at face value.
right.
So yeah, that's it. That's it. We're gonna touch these comments, but as I always say, let us know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking. Are you thinking to yourself, that is the box office number? That's what I was expecting. Or are you one of the ones that you might be a little butthurt watching this video? You might be one. You might be one of the ones that constantly comments on our recast videos, but this might be one you don't comment on because again, unless you can come with fact, unless you can come with something that's not, oh, you're a gatekeeping fanboy. Keep your Twitter fingers to your damn self. And I mean that shit.
I was going to say...
I mean that shit.
But at the same time, I'm not going to be, like, come into your space and just be wrong about shit. Like, if I'm on it, like, I'm going to just hit you with what's right and then I'm going to get off the phone. I don't have to respond.
See, my whole attitude with the recast crowd lately, since I've stopped arguing with people, has been, I'm going to just leave you where you had me fucked up. I'm going to just leave you where you had me fucked up. You had me fucked up with your first sentence, so I'm going to leave you with that first sentence. You do you.
I'm cool off that.
But like I said, let us know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking.